Lightyear just dropped, and boy, it did not disappoint. It was a fun movie that was filled with action, adventure, laughs, and tears. Boy, did our favorite Space Ranger have an epic adventure this time around. It made us love Buzz even more. I can see why they created toys in Andy's universe because it was far out, man. I'm just impressed about the CGI graphics from 1995 because that's when this film was supposedly released. This Buzz is a bit different. He's not a toy, and he doesn't sound like Tim Allen. Mostly because supposedly the director didn't want to use Tim Allen. Awkward. He's played by the beautiful baritone Chris Evans, the hunk of a man Captain America himself. This adventure shows Buzz crash land on a strange planet with no fuel to travel at light speeds. Buzz and team decide to stay for a year so they can research new formulas for light speed fuel. Buzz starts testing the flights. We quickly learn that each time he flies at those speeds, he travels 4 years into the future that only last a few minutes for him. Eventually, he ends up 60 to 80 years in the future, where his home base is overrun by Zurg and his robots. And he teams up with a motley crew to take down the robots and defeat Zurg and save his home base once and for all. Strap in and suit up. I'm Joey C. Let's go!
All right, that's enough.
During the first act of Lightyear, we see our favorite Space Ranger attempting to reach hyperspeed, which will help him and his crew return to Earth after being stranded. Like I said, the catch is, every moment Buzz spends flying out in space is equal to 1 year on the planet. This leads to Buzz's determined montage of him taking test flight after test flight. At one point during this wonderful montage, we can spot the yellow canister from Monsters, Inc. tucked away in the background. This bright yellow cylindrical canister was originally used to store the screams of the children whom the scares at Monsters, Inc. would spook. A really messed up storyline for a kids movie if you think about it. There is plenty of dialogue that mirrors the Toy Story franchise, and it really made me smile. Like in the first Toy Story, Buzz is often seen recording messages into his arm recorder. One of the first things we noticed when Buzz and crew first land on the strange planet early in the movie, he utters, "Terrain seems a bit unstable." Which, if you notice, is the same line Buzz Lightyear says in the first Toy Story film when he first arrives in Andy's room on top of his bed. Another very similar thing that was mirrored from the original classic Toy Story was the shot when Buzz is on the strange planet and he gazes around his surroundings. We see his reflection in his space helmet while he looks left and right, which, if you know, is the same shot that Buzz does on Andy's bed when he first arrives in the room. A really neat little nod to the classic original. Like I said before, the movie takes place in 1995, supposedly. The most 90s thing I can think of is blowing into a cartridge to get them to work, which, come to find out, is actually not good for the cartridge. Oops. Buzz has this navigation assistant named Ivan, which is like a Siri.
More on her later.
During Buzz's first test flight for the light speed, the system malfunctions, and the Ivan lady keeps nagging him to abort. At some point, Ivan malfunctions too, so he pulls out her cartridge and blows into it and puts it back. Very reminiscent of our Nintendo days. A Pixar movie would not be a Pixar movie without the famous A113 Easter egg that is present in every single Pixar film. Let me refer to you to my Turning Red video on Pixar Easter eggs to explain more. This A113 is a famous Easter egg that is featured in every single Pixar film. It is a reference to the classroom number of the students at the California Institute of the Arts, many of them now working at Pixar. Follow your dreams, kids. In Lightyear, boy did I have my eyes peeled for this one. I actually think I saw it a few times in the movie, but the time I'm sure I saw it was after Hawthorne died of old age.
Spoiler.
In the background of her empty office, we can see outside her window, and on the side of another wall is written the famous A113. God, that feels so good. This one is something I'm very proud of, because I didn't see it anywhere on the internet. After Buzz returns to home base after almost 100 years, it's a long story, he comes across Hawthorne's granddaughter and 2 other recruits that are a part of a resistance movement against Zurg and his robots that are attacking the planet. They tell Buzz about their plan to blow up Zurg's ship, and on their existing ship we see in the background, there is the face of a dog on the tip of the plane. And that dog is none other than Sid's dog from the first Toy Story. Very subtle, very cool. Throughout the movie, we see Buzz have many action sequences. In most of them, in order to out-Pizza the Hut, if you will, he does his famous jump and roll in the air move that he is seen doing numerous times in the Toy Story franchise. We can see this move on display in Toy Story 2 when they go up against Zurg in the heating ducts, and he jumps and rolls right over the Z-Man. He also does it during the video game sequence in the beginning of the movie. Continuing in Toy Story 2, there's a pretty famous line that Buzz Lightyear screams to Zurg when they are fighting in the beginning of the movie. He yells out, "Not today, Zurg!" What do you know? He says the same thing in Lightyear when Zurg is trying to get the crystal from our beautiful Buzz. Like we discussed before, the first half of the movie is a roller coaster due to the reveal that Buzz went through time dilation because of the temporal distortion of hyperspeed. Time dilation is certainly not a new concept in the sci-fi genre, and it's not hard to draw comparisons to Christopher Nolan's Interstellar, which features a horrifying moment of severe time dilation. Buzz's 4 years is nothing compared to Interstellar, but the effects are still scary. What is more unsettling is that Buzz knowingly does more tests even though he will lose 4 years each time. Despite that, he remains loyal to completing the mission, just like Lightyear remains loyal to the genre classics of the past. Despite being a different voice actor, Buzz himself stays wildly consistent to his Toy Story counterpart in Lightyear. Some traits are obvious, like the constant need to record personal logs in his recorder, his wariness, and his hyperfixation on the mission. But some are smaller and easier to miss. For example, Buzz's resistance to teamwork, and specifically working with anyone he deems not qualified, which coincides with his appearance in the first Toy Story. Come to think about it, he goes through similar story arcs in both movies. A moody loner to a willing member of a larger group working together. Buzz's general hesitation at normal social interaction and relationship building troubles are also kept the same from Toy Story.
Hey, well, so you want to do it the hard way, huh?
Don't even think about it, cowboy.
Oh, yeah?
Like we previously discussed, the 90s wouldn't be the 90s without technology. Many of the digital readouts in Lightyear have that blocky overlay 90s feel to it, which just feels so right in a movie taking place in 95. Obviously, Lightyear pulls from all eras of science fiction, but it still feels like a 90s animated movie in nature, and it's fun to see the writers were committed to the 90s vibe in multiple ways. When you release a big-budget science fiction movie, it's only right that you pay homage to the classics. Lightyear delivers, and has a wonderful reference to Stanley Kubrick's classic 2001: A Space Odyssey. During that movie, there is a famous line yelled out, which is, "Open the pod bay doors, Hal." And it's been spoofed countless times. Lightyear jumped on that train, and during one of the test flights that went wrong, Buzz was talking to his AI friend Ivan, and said the line, "Open the fuel door, Ivan," which is an obvious nod to the classic scene in A Space Odyssey. Which, come to find out, this isn't the first 2001 Easter egg that Pixar threw in. In Toy Story 2, the classic movie theme plays during the opening sequence inside the video game inside the movie, when Buzz is jumping across the floating platforms. It's no secret that Pixar loves spoofing Star Wars and its Buzz Lightyear storylines. It's easy because they're similar in a lot of ways. Zurg is basically a purple Darth Vader. The big one in Lightyear is Socks, Buzz's robotic cat companion. He's able to interfere with computers, hack, and basically do anything under the sun. When he plugs his tail into the computer and spins his head around and mumbles some beeps and boops, it's a real funny bit and a clear reference to R2-D2 in Star Wars. While R2-D2 isn't the only robot to be able to hack, the specific way Socks goes about his work and the sound he makes the connection to the astromech even stronger. Midway through Lightyear, Buzz and the Misfit gang break into an old mining station to get the necessary computer part for the ship, but they accidentally trip a security system, which are unbreakable cones that surround the person, and they have to figure out a way out of this dangerous situation. Does that sound familiar? Of course, we are referring to the classic iconic street crossing scene in Toy Story, which sees Buzz, Rex, and the other crew hide beneath traffic cones in order to cross a busy road. While the situations for each film are different, the orange-colored capture cones remain the same. Not really a things you missed, but what are you gonna do? If you studied up on your Toy Story lore, you'll recognize a number of visual touches with Zurg and his robots. The robots themselves are a little more advanced and scary than the ones in Toy Story 2, but they have the same basic design. The same is true for the Z-Man. He swapped out his old robe and cape for a more mechanical aesthetic, and it's still rather recognizable. The giant robot mouth and the little bull horns remain the same, and his iconic blaster is still there. My favorite part of Zurg, that I'm glad remained, is the purple color scheme, because purple is punk, baby. Some people, me included, forgot that Lightyear wasn't the first time Buzz got a spin-off that explores his lore and backstory. In 2000, there was a direct-to-video movie called Buzz Lightyear of Star Command: The Adventure Begins. That's a long movie name. Although the movie isn't considered canon anymore, it's still a fun little movie and it shares some striking similarities to Lightyear. Both movies involve Buzz learning to accept help from a motley crew of unlikely heroes, which once again is similar to Toy Story. And in both films, Buzz expresses his distaste for rookies. Good lord, he's kind of a dick. But eventually, he comes around and stops Zurg. Boy, does that sound familiar. Toy Story constantly reminds us that Buzz Lightyear is an awesome toy. He's got his laser on his wrist, a jetpack, and his karate chop action moves, baby. All of these are shown in the movie. Some are incredibly crucial. During the movie, we often see Buzz showing off his impressive karate chops, which runs deeper than we think. It's very skilled fighting. His laser blaster isn't included in the old Space Ranger suit, but when he gets his normal uniform in the third act, that we all know and love, he straps a standalone laser blaster to his suit for easy use.
Yeah, sure, you go ahead. Melt him with your scary laser.
The weapon is really handy during his battle with Zurg, and when the new Space Rangers outfits are revealed at the end of the film, it has laser blasters built in. We love an origin story. As for the winged jetpack, Pixar waits forever to reveal it. They finally show it when the rest of the crew is re-entering the atmosphere, and Buzz uses the wings to keep the ship on course. Falling with style, if you get me. A Buzz Lightyear movie wouldn't be complete without a proper battle with Buzz and the Z-Man, and boy does this film deliver in the third act. And, of course, Buzz comes out on top. A lot of the battle has similarities with the battle with Zurg in Toy Story 2, with similar moves, similar lines, and similar damage done. Luckily, the real Buzz is much better at fighting Zurg than Rex was in the second movie, because that man is deceased. When Buzz gets promoted to run his own Space Rangers group at the end of the movie, they get sanctioned for high-priority missions. And their first assignment is to head to the Gamma Quadrant of Sector 4 for investigating. That destination may sound familiar if you're into Toy Story at all. When Buzz first appears in Andy's room, he says he's stationed at the Gamma Quadrant of Sector 4. This location is mentioned again in Toy Story 2, as it's the setting of the video game about Buzz that Rex is playing. Since the Buzz toy has all the memories of the real Buzz, it makes sense that he has a strong connection with the good old Sector 4, baby. This one is pretty neat. When Buzz first lands on the strange planet in the beginning of the movie, the forest setting is rather similar to the Star Wars location of Endor. Given all the Star Wars nods throughout the film, this makes sense. Endor is a small forested moon, covered in dense woodlands, tall mountains, and savannas. It gives a very similar vibe. We could be reaching too far on this one, but hey, what can you do? On the topic of Buzz first landing on the planet that's similar to Endor, Buzz hops out of the ship and opens up his personal recorder log and says the line, "There seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere," and jumps down the hill and does his classic pose. And boy, you called it. He says the same line in Toy Story when he lands on Andy's bed. Good lord, they really took a lot from Buzz on Andy's bed, eh? Boy, let's lay down another line from Toy Story. Buzz says the line at some point in the movie, "You're mocking me, aren't you?" Which, of course, is the moment from Toy Story when Buzz says the same line to Woody when he is confronting Buzz. Good lord, these seem like cheap entries, but who cares, man? We're just having fun here, good god.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Give me that.
Oh, this is a good one. We discussed before how Buzz has a navigation Siri buddy named Ivan. Well, Ivan backwards is NAVI, which is short for navigation, of course. But by God, if you know anything at all, that's Link's Fairy in Zelda Ocarina of Time. There's absolutely no connection to Ocarina of Time, but good God, let me have this. Who doesn't love Ocarina of Time? When Buzz is doing his wonderfully dangerous flight tests in space, we have a neat blink and you'll miss it moment in the stars. We can see a constellation of LUXO Jr, which is the little lamp that squashes the eye in the Pixar title sequence. Based, of course, off the Pixar short LUXO Jr that came out in 1986. Absolutely did not think they would put an Easter egg in the stars, but hey, they're Pixar, they love Easter eggs. And we're ScreenRant, we love them more. Good lord, and finally, the last post-credit scene at the very, very, very end of the movie, past the title sequences, past the credits, past the studio logos, past the thank yous, we see Zurg's suit eyes glow up again while he's floating into space after being defeated by Buzz. Hint for a sequel, maybe? We shall see, Space Rangers. We shall see. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, you did it. 25 things you missed in Lightyear. Did you notice anything that we didn't? Did we notice anything that you didn't? If so, let us know in the comments below. And as always, everybody, thanks for watching.